Here's your Browns breakout script. Pat McAfee just dropped a bomb on live television, and if you're a Browns fan, you need to stop whatever you're doing right now. Deshaun Watson, not Shedeur Sanders, is the starting quarterback in Cleveland heading out of voluntary minicamp. That's not a rumor. That's not speculation. That's coming directly from Mary Kay Cabot, who has covered this franchise for 2 decades and doesn't get things wrong. Let that sink in for a second. The rookie everyone assumed was walking straight into that starting job, he's watching from a sideline before a single preseason snap has been played. And the reasons behind it? That's exactly what we need to dig into, because this isn't just about depth charts. This is about money leverage and a franchise that has never once made this easy on itself. Let's start with the uncomfortable truth that everyone is dancing around. The Cleveland Browns are still paying Deshaun Watson. Not a little, $230 million. And when you've committed that kind of money to a quarterback, the front office doesn't just hand the future to a rookie in April without giving their investment one last real look. That's not football logic. That's business logic. And in the NFL, those two things are almost never the same thing. Now, here's where it gets genuinely complicated. Watson isn't just showing up and collecting a check. He's working. The footage is out there, moving in the pocket, running drills, looking engaged in a way that frankly surprised a lot of people who had already written the obituary. Mike Tannenbaum is skeptical, and he has every right to be. 2 torn Achilles tendons is not a minor footnote for a quarterback whose game was always built on the ability to create when the pocket collapses. That short area quickness, that mobility in tight spaces, those things don't just come back on their own after that kind of damage. But here's what matters right now. Watson wants this. He's competing. He's putting the work on visible film in the spring, and the coaching staff now has the cover they need to hand him the job. Once that narrative takes hold, once the reps start tilting in his direction, it is extremely hard to reverse. Shedeur Sanders is a rookie. Rookies don't always match a veteran's preparation intensity in April. And if Watson outworks him in every visible rep before training camp even opens, the decision gets made before the competition officially begins. That's the part nobody on the Pat McAfee show said out loud, but everybody in that room was thinking. And look, this Browns roster isn't bad. It's actually encouraging. Spencer Fano at tackle looks like a 10-year starter. Casey Seption and Denzel Boston give this offense real weapons on the outside. Todd Monken's system is built for exactly the kind of quarterback Shedeur Sanders is. The infrastructure is there. The foundation is being laid. But right now, a $230 million quarterback is standing in the doorway, and the franchise isn't ready to move him just yet. So where does that leave Shedeur? In a position that is genuinely uncomfortable for a first-round pick with legitimate franchise talent. He was drafted to be the answer. The whole point of that pick was to stop asking the question. But the front office hasn't fully let go of the question they already paid $230 million to answer, and that tension is going to define everything about Cleveland's 2026 offseason. Here's the scenario nobody wants to say out loud, because it's the one that ends badly. Watson starts week 1. The offense sputters. History, and history has been ruthless on this subject, says that's a reasonable expectation. The fan base turns fast. The pressure builds. And then mid-season, under duress, against a schedule that will not slow down, they hand the keys to Shedeur Sanders in the worst possible conditions for a young quarterback to succeed. Cleveland has done this before. Multiple times. It has never ended well. The path to the starting job still exists for Shedeur, but it just got significantly narrower overnight. He doesn't just have to win the job anymore. He has to win it so convincingly, so undeniably, that the front office has no choice but to look past the money they've already spent and make the right football call. That is a high bar. That is an unfair bar. And that is exactly the bar he's going to have to clear. The most chaotic quarterback situation in the entire NFL is happening right now in Cleveland, Ohio, before training camp, before preseason, before a single meaningful snap. Watson is the starter. Shedeur is watching. $230 million is already out the door, and none of this is close to being resolved. Drop your take in the comments right now. Does Deshaun Watson actually start week 1, or does Shedeur Sanders take that job before the season kicks off? Hit like, subscribe to Browns Breakout, and don't go anywhere, because what comes out of Cleveland next is going to change this conversation all over again.